How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. And 5 years ago, if you wanted a dedicated media device, then chances are one of the things you'd look at is an iPad. However, with phones having bigger and brighter screens than ever, is there actually any point in buying an iPad anymore? Let's find out. So I'm going to be totally honest. For a lot of people, no. A lot of people really don't need a dedicated media device, especially if you have something like an iPhone 12 or a Samsung Galaxy S21. The large screens with the high resolution mean that you really don't need another dedicated device for media consumption. But there is certainly a case for the iPad Pro. Not this case. And even iPads like the 8th generation. But what? To make it very clear, before we get into this video properly, this video is going to be tackled from mainly a media and creativity standpoint. I mean, obviously, a phone is definitely better than an iPad for like texting or carrying it around or checking social media in public. I also don't recommend you go out and take photos with your iPad. Seriously, cameras still leave a lot to be desired. So yeah, now that that's covered, let's talk about situations where this might actually swing. Well, first of all, let's talk media consumption. Chances are, if you're watching YouTube videos, playing games, or listening to background music, your phone should probably do just fine. However, if you're watching a lot of movies, using a smart device to monitor things like your camera or proof high-resolution photos, you probably will want something a little bit bigger and better. I mean, realistically, a 6-inch phone screen only goes so far, and staring at a screen of this size for any elongated period will make your eyes feel a little bit strained. I mean, even after, say, a 30-minute YouTube video, my eyes often are a little bit strained. I do notice myself holding my phone a lot closer than I would with my iPad to see all of the details. I find that in my free time, I am using my iPad more and more to do basic media consumption. While I could watch videos on my phone, and often do, despite the fact that my iPad only goes up to 1080p in the YouTube app, I do still find myself using my iPad for a lot more media consumption. I find that, again, despite the resolution, having a bigger screen is often more important, especially if I know I'm going to be doing an elongated period of media consumption, say an hour of YouTube or Netflix. I know that I am going to be a lot more comfortable using my iPad to do this than if I were to pull my phone out my pocket and go from there. I also prefer using my iPad to something like my computer, as I am a big believer in separating work from relaxation. So if you have a work computer, you generally wouldn't want to watch any films on it. I find that this is a good subliminal way in not either overworking or underworking, as you're not going to get distracted by either work or videos. So I found that this is a good system for me, and the iPad supports me in this. Now we're going to be talking about something that may seem a little bit obvious, but we're still going to go over creative application. I've had that on the whole time. If you're doing things like art or photo editing, obviously something like an iPad Pro or even a standard iPad is definitely going to be better than your phone. I have actually used my iPad for plenty of creative applications in my time using it. In fact, a lot of the thumbnails that I've made for this channel have been done on the iPad Pro in Lightroom, which brings me to my next point: different applications. If you look in the App Store, you'll notice there are plenty of apps on iPhone that aren't available on iPad, like Instagram. However, if you look at the iPad App Store, you will notice there are many more creativity-themed apps with better features than the mobile counterparts, like better masking tools or support for Apple Pencil, and I think this says a lot about the differences between iPhones and iPads. While there are certainly creativity apps available for phones, I've noticed that the vast majority of apps that someone like me would use are only available on iPad. With higher-end iPads nowadays, like the iPad Pro, you do get that higher refresh rate screen, along with obviously more real estate. So art-themed applications are much easier to use and can actually give you sizably better results. So all in all, if you want to do lots of creativity-based tasks, then the iPad might be a pretty good shout. What's more, another area of creativity where iPads are significantly better is with music production. Now, while not all iPads will have the same features, I found that the general features that you can get on an iPad vastly outweigh the features that you might get on a phone for things like music production. For example, I can use my professional audio interface that I'm actually recording this with. I mean, with this interface combined with my iPad, I can plug in high-end microphones, preamps, electric guitars, studio monitors, the list goes on. And while there are workarounds to do this with your phone, probably not worth it, because you can't get all of the really good apps that you can get on iPad to assist with music production. Also, would you really want to make music on this? I wouldn't. So while I personally don't produce music on anything but this computer here, it is nice to have that option. And if I needed to record a voiceover on the go, I honestly think the iPad could totally work for me. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The size. Let's be honest here. Carting around an iPad is not always convenient, especially when you just want to put your phone in your pocket and go to a cafe to do some like photo editing. So in a situation like that, is it even worth it? I mean, Lightroom Mobile works pretty well, and Snapseed is another great free option. So is there any benefit to taking a giant slab of metal when all you really want to do is lightly retouch a selfie? No, probably not. Generally, I found that iPads are better suited to people who are more on the prosumer side of things. Now, that's not to say people who are casually into creative applications shouldn't use an iPad, or even people on the professional side. I mean, I've personally used my iPad for lots of professional creative projects. But chances are, if you fall more on the casual side of things, loading around an iPad to a cafe to finger sketch a picture of your cat or try a drum sequence in GarageBand probably isn't ideal, and I'd say the cons of carrying around an iPad probably do outweigh the pros. I mean, I wrote the script for this video on my phone using voice dictation because I like to pace around my house rather than sit down and type like a normal person. So a lot of the time, it really is person to person. No one solution is going to be best for everyone, but I hope in this video I've helped point out some of the pros and cons of using an iPad. And if none of these really sound like pros to you, chances are you probably don't need an iPad. However, if you do want the biggest screen for media consumption, or you like drawing nice pictures, or making music, or editing photos, then chances are the iPad might actually be a pretty decent device to add to your tech arsenal. I know that I really like mine, and I certainly wouldn't want to get rid of it just for my phone. However, I do think for a lot of people, the necessity of iPads has kind of faded out in the last few years. Generally, the people I see using iPads nowadays are people like me, people who enjoy doing creative stuff, less so people who own them for media consumption, which is what you used to see a few years ago. I mean, back in the day, if you went to Costa Coffee, because it was especially Costa Coffee, you'd see like 5 or 6 people with these, just like browsing the web or watching videos. But nowadays, it's not like that anymore. Nowadays, if you go into Costa Coffee, well, you can't at the moment, but if you were to go into Costa Coffee, you'd either see people on their phones or their laptops. So it's certainly an interesting one, and I definitely think there is a space for the iPads, but unfortunately, undeniably, not as much as they used to be. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, do you own an iPad? Do you plan to look for one? Always like reading your comments. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to... Twitter really doesn't want me to finish this video. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, and smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.